On World News Tonight this Sunday, Hurricane George gaining strength and pounding the Gulf Coast as more than 1 million people evacuate. The end of an era. After 16 years in office, German Chancellor Helmut Kohl concedes defeat. And on the last day of the season schedule,
number 70!
Big Mac shows why he is the home run king.
From ABC News, this is World News Tonight, Sunday.
Good evening, I'm Carol Simpson. Slugger Mark McGwire wins the Home Run Derby, hitting 2 more today, boosting the single-season record to 70. But first, the growing fear along the Gulf Coast tonight as Hurricane George moves closer. George has stalled, giving it more time to gain strength. The hurricane could hit land as early as tonight. The deadly storm has already taken more than 300 lives and caused an estimated $2 billion worth of damage. And with winds gusting up to 110 miles per hour, much more damage is expected. ABC's Erin Hayes is on the ground in New Orleans, but we begin tonight with ABC's Steve Osunsami in Biloxi, Mississippi. Steve.
Well, Carol, people here have tracked this storm's 1,500-mile violent journey, and they hope it spares their beaches, homes, and businesses. The winds have already begun to get dangerous, and in a matter of hours, wind speeds could reach up to 110 miles an hour. The Robinsons are moving to higher ground because across the street is the Gulf of Mexico, and Hurricane George is just hours away from their Biloxi home.
Either you go now or you don't go. So we're leaving and going to stay in the shelter until most of that wind dies down.
But down the road, Arva Hopkins and his family are watching the New Orleans Saints game. They aren't afraid of 10 to 15-foot storm surges because homes in this area sit 19 feet above water.
Well, even if it reaches the 15-foot level, it won't get in the house here.
What you got? 220 at the Iberville High School.
It's going to be the 11 o'clock count, okay.
They're on standby. They're ready to go whenever needed.
Civil defense authorities tracking the storm say it's smarter to leave. They're quickly filling area shelters and reminding residents that Hurricane Camille nearly destroyed this part of the Gulf Coast in 1969. George, they say, is a much weaker storm. But since it's moving slowly, it could still cause serious damage.
Hurricane force winds could be as much as 30 hours. We're looking at rainfall maybe in excess of 25 to 30 inches.
That presents a serious concern for emergency workers who can't do their job until the worst of the hurricane clears. This means anyone who needs help during the storm may have to wait. Carol?
Thank you, Steve Osunsami in Biloxi. Because New Orleans is below sea level, city officials are extremely worried about severe flooding. ABC's Erin Hayes is in New Orleans. Erin, what's happening there now?
Well, Carol, the weather has been very calm most of the day, up until about just over an hour ago when the winds did begin kicking up in occasional strong bursts, making it clear Hurricane George is on the way, and people have been bracing for it. This has been a city on edge all day.
Okay, back up when I call your name. Step forward and get on the bus, please.
In New Orleans and south of the city, it was a scramble.
We are 25 minutes behind schedule.
Thousands decided this morning it was not safe to stay. Some boarded buses, and thousands filled shelters. So many, in fact, that the city opened the Superdome as a hurricane shelter.
Trying to weather the storm.
Please be patient.
By noon, people were streaming in, waiting in line, listening as George approached.
The city could see hurricane storm winds by later on tonight.
All weekend here, the preparation has been intense. Usually unflustered by hurricanes, the people of New Orleans know George is different and dangerous. And because much of the city is below sea level, the approaching storm surge is a serious threat.
This is an awesome force of nature that you just can't play around with.
Since Friday, the mayor has pressed residents to leave. They jammed the interstates, heeding his warning.
We're out of here. Yeah, it's just crazy. I've never seen anything like this come through it before, so don't really want to stick around and see it.
I am scared to death.
The last plane out of New Orleans left this morning. The interstate shut down at noon. The streets of New Orleans stand empty. The people of New Orleans are waiting. And it is going to be a difficult wait. The National Hurricane Center says hurricane-force winds should begin in the city about 2 o'clock this morning, continue for another 30 hours. Tropical storm-force winds after that up to another 60 hours. And Carol, the storm surge moving this way is so forceful, the Mississippi River right behind me is flowing backwards.
Amazing. Thank you, Aaron Hayes. Now, joining us from Orlando, Florida, is our hurricane expert, Bob Sheets. Bob, tell us where along the Gulf Coast you think the storm may make its biggest impact.
Okay, Carol, I think it's going to be from New Orleans eastward over into basically the Pensacola area, with the biggest impact probably in the Mississippi coast.
It's devastated the Caribbean, and it's supposed to bring a lot of damage here. What is unique about this hurricane?
It's very slow movement. It was indicated there. Even though the winds are 100 to 110 miles per hour, which is strong, the big problem is going to be the water that's going to be pushed up there along the coast. 10 to 15 foot of waves, storm surge, and then heavy rain, because that storm is expected to hang around there for about 3 days. So right here, all this area is going to have a tremendous amount of rain.
Thank you very much for the update, Bob Sheets. Residents began returning to the Florida Keys today after the highway connecting the islands to the mainland reopened. Key West was pounded by George on Friday, forcing residents to flee. Still ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday, Mark McGuire doubles the pleasure and doubles the fun. German voters say goodbye to longtime Chancellor Helmut Kohl. And a California police officer says hello to the father he never knew.
This is World News Tonight, Sunday. Brought to you by Just for Men.
I thought you were starting to go gray.
I was, but I never did.
So what happened, a miracle?
You can't tell?
Tell what?
I use Just for Men.
That's hair color?
Even your barber can't tell you use the hair coloring called Just for Men. Simply shampoo in, then rinse. In only 5 minutes, this unique Just for Men formula blends away the gray, actually matches your gray to your real color.
I never would have guessed.
Just for Men. So natural, even your barber can't tell.
We can show you people who believe every day is a gift. These same people believe that the level of commitment they've received from their healthcare company helped make that gift possible. We're Aetna U.S. Healthcare, raising the quality of healthcare in America.
This is for
anyone who looks at things differently.
This is for the green light.
This is for Saturday night.
This is for people who want to be noticed.
This is for your dreams.
This is Pontiac driving excitement.
Now, drive more of it at the Pontiac 98 sell down with 0.9% APR financing or up to $2,750 cash back on select 98 models. More reason than ever to see all the great 98 sell down values at your Pontiac dealer today.
This is for me.
For
me.
Now for our other big sports story of the day. On the last day of baseball's regular season schedule, the Home Run Derby is probably settled, and it wasn't even close. Sammy Sosa and the Chicago Cubs may play one more game tomorrow, but it will take a miracle for Sosa to catch up. Mark McGuire hit 2 more homers today. He has 70. Sammy Sosa has 66. President Clinton called McGuire today and invited him and his son to the White House. ABC's John Frankel is in St. Louis. Pretty exciting, huh, John?
Carol, pardon the pun, but it was a blast to watch Mark McGuire end the season the way he started it, hitting home runs as if he were a machine with a pulse. How far? How high? How many? Today in the 3rd inning, McGuire let number 69 fly. There's a drive. Never enough. And dare McGuire disappoint.
There it goes! Can you count to 70?
If not for the end of the season, you get the feeling nothing could stop him. Even before Mark McGuire hit his first home run this season, there were great expectations.
Looking up, it's a grand slam home run.
The talk about breaking the record started in January. Maybe it goes back all the way to last September.
The anticipation built as McGwire went through baseballs like most players go through sticks of chewing gum.
Breaking ball hit deep to left field.
The pressure intensified when he reached 50 by mid-August.
Number 50 for Mark McGwire.
I'd have to say that I do have a shot.
With an opportunity to break Roger Maris's 37-year-old record, McGwire's every move was monitored. Fans in record numbers flashed their cameras hoping to capture history, which they did when McGwire was the first to reach 62.
He did it! He did it! I dedicated this home run to the whole city of St. Louis and all the fans here. Thank you for all the support.
Finally, someone who's a good man is getting in the spotlight, and I think people really respect that.
And because they respect him so much for the way he carries his bat as well as himself,
an example of good sportsmanship, honesty, unselfishness, and team spirit.
Today, McGwire was honored as St. Louis's most distinguished citizen.
This is a season that I will never, ever forget, and I hope everybody in baseball never forget. So thank you very much.
McGwire added that he is exhausted in awe of his own accomplishment, and when asked if he wanted to break his own record, he said, let it stand as is. Carol?
Thanks, John. Now to the other side, Sammy Sosa. He was in Houston trying to slug the Cubs into the playoffs. Here's ABC's Dean Reynolds. How was it there, Dean?
Carol, it was a disappointing day for Sammy Sosa on the home run front. Yes, he did have a couple of singles today, but the Cubs lost in extra innings to the Houston Astros. Still, by any measure, you'd have to agree that Sammy Sosa has had one heck of a year.
Swung on, hit high in the air.
Sosa didn't really enter the home run race until June when he clobbered 20 round trippers. Everybody knew he was a power hitter. He had 40 homers last year, but they didn't know he was this kind of power hitter. Always deferential to McGwire, Sosa seemed happy playing the second lead in this drama, never losing his head despite the crush of press coverage.
Hi. Sorry to make you wait.
Over time, the country came to know his playful nature and his obvious love for the game.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
His undeniable good sportsmanship, and that trademark salutation to his mother and his countrymen in the Dominican Republic. Whereas the mighty McGwire inspired awe in the crowds that saw his rocket launches, there was something more human scale about Sosa that made people smile. Look at these faces. In Houston this weekend or in any city where he played this summer, it was the same story.
And incredibly, the Cubs are still alive because even though they lost here today to Houston, the San Francisco Giants, their main competitor for a playoff berth, also lost. The two teams will play tomorrow night at Wrigley Field in an extra regular season game, which means Sammy Sosa will have at least 4 more cracks at that record. Carol?
And we wish him well. Thank you, Dean. In just a moment, news from overseas, a dramatic changing of the guard in Germany.
Trains now go 300 miles an hour. Mail, 3,000 miles a second. Athletes continually break records. So how come pain relief isn't faster? Introducing Advil Liquid Gels, the first and only pain reliever in a faster-acting liquid-filled capsule that's gentle on your stomach. On tough pain, Advil Liquid Gels are stronger and faster than extra-strength Tylenol. Headaches to muscle aches. New Advil Liquid Gels. Advanced medicine for pain. Just got faster.
For 97 years, GMC has designed trucks for people who drove them not because they were trendy, but because their lives depended on them. Heroes who measured a truck by its power and its determination. That heritage lives in the new Yukon Denali. A luxury SUV with a 255 horsepower V8. It meets the demands of professionals and the standards of history. The Yukon Denali by GMC.
The first time I used Mentadent, I knew it was different.
Mentadent is different. That's because it's the only toothpaste with dentist-recommended fluoride, baking soda, and peroxide in a pump. So it activates on contact with a burst of oxygenated bubbles that give your teeth, your gums, your whole mouth a fresh sensation of clean.
You can feel the bubbles working, and I love what Mentadent does for my teeth.
Mentadent Clean. So clean, you can feel it. For more oral care information, call 1-877-FEELS-GREAT.
By the end of the week, 7 more lives will be saved. By the end of the day, 16 people who couldn't walk will. By the end of the hour, these special filters will help make 25,000 more gallons of water ready for drinking. And by the end of this message, 1 more premature baby will be protected. All of which is made possible with the help of a material we call plastic.
In Germany today, Helmut Kohl became the first chancellor voted out of office since World War II. After 16 years, Kohl was known as the eternal chancellor. No more. Here's ABC's Jim Wooten.
The end of the road for Helmut Kohl, father of a single Germany, founding force for European Union, world leader, 6,000 days in power, all over tonight.
Liebe Freunde, zunächst danke ich Ihnen allen.
A bitter defeat for him and his Christian Democrats by Gerhard Schroeder and his jubilant Social Democrats. This is Germany's next chancellor.
Die neue Mitte hat sich entschieden.
A younger, slimmer, media-savvy governor who promised change without defining it. He didn't have to. Mr. Kohl was blamed for a stalled economy, for serious unemployment, for spending too much or too little on the old East, for just about everything, in fact. And today, in an election that had history marked on every ballot, millions voted to send him packing. It wasn't even close. For the winners, it was sweet.
This is one of the greatest moments in my life, and I'm very glad to be here at this historic moment.
I'm very happy.
We all think this is a great change in Germany.
We've been looking forward to this for 16 years.
And as the celebrating began tonight, Mr. Schroeder pledged a continuity in German foreign policy, but a brand new approach to economics. As for Mr. Kohl, he resigned as leader of his party and walked away.
He said last year he wouldn't run this year, but he couldn't resist one more campaign, couldn't believe the German voters wouldn't embrace him again, and wouldn't believe the polls that suggested they'd had enough. Today they said precisely that, and the era of Helmut Kohl has finally ended. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Bonn.
In New York, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright has been meeting with Palestinian Chief Yasser Arafat and separately Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There are signs the two sides are getting closer to a deal. Both leaders meet with President Clinton this week. When we come back, who comes out ahead if Paula Jones finally settles with the president?
I've just got this burning love for food. But sometimes it just doesn't love me back. Heartburn surging up to here. What my doctor calls acid reflux. When I get it, he says, get Gaviscon.
Only regular Gaviscon forms a soothing protective barrier to help keep stomach acid down, where it belongs. Mylanta can't, Hepzidase C can't. Only Gaviscon can.
So my heartburn doesn't come back to burn me.
Gaviscon. It helps keep acid down, where it belongs.
The nest is empty. Your work is done.
So powerful.
It's time to kick back and have some fun.
So agile.
You got the car now.
DeVille with the North Star system.
For who you are now, you're making whoopee.
DeVille for the time of your life.
Oh, look at you.
Food that sounds as fresh as this comes from a new food storage bag that sounds like this. Ziploc introduces Slide Lock, the new bag that tells you it's closed. So now you can be sure it's fresh because you can hear Slide Lock close. Slide Lock, the new sound of freshness from Ziploc.
Enterprise? Hi, I'm at the repair shop. I need to rent a car.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up,
This is great.
drive you to our place, and get you on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
And this time, there's something new. Now there's a wind tunnel that's self-propelled. New self-propelled wind tunnel.
In Washington, Attorney General Janet Reno will be spending the night in the hospital after fainting during church this morning. Doctors say the Attorney General, who is 60, is now in good condition. They say it's similar to a fainting spell she suffered last year in Mexico. President Clinton heads back home tonight after a weekend of fundraising. The White House today confirmed that it is involved in negotiations to settle the Paula Jones case. She's asking for $1 million. But the White House says a settlement is not an admission of guilt. Here's ABC's Tim O'Brien.
As the president was fundraising for other Democrats in Texas today, his own fundraisers were telling him they can raise enough to settle the Paula Jones case. Jones' lawyer confirmed today it is now all about money. No apology needed.
Let's assume hypothetically that a significant amount of money were offered to Mrs. Jones to settle her litigation. We would consider that a vindication.
And settling is a good idea, says one veteran Washington insider.
If it gets settled, I would think that improves the president's position on all of the impeachment charges.
Former presidential candidate Ross Perot is now calling on Clinton to resign.
Watch my lips. The president is mentally and emotionally unstable.
One thing about Perot, he was a man that ought to be able to recognize mental and emotional instability. So I wouldn't pay much attention to what he said. He's about a half a quart low, to tell you the truth.
There's enough information out for everyone to have an opinion, and there is still more to come. Another 65,000 pages of documents, Linda Tripp's secretly recorded audio tapes, and quite possibly videotape of the president's deposition in the Paula Jones case. Tim O'Brien, ABC News at the Capitol.
While many Americans say they are sick of hearing and reading about the Clinton scandal, there's good evidence many others are not. Trafficking in the Clinton scandal is turning out to be good for business.
I have sworn an oath to tell the grand jury the truth, and that's what I intend to do.
The president's videotaped testimony is hitting stores this weekend. And at $14.95, it's expected to be a real blockbuster at the cash register. The Star Report is already a bestseller in print, with editions by 3 different publishers. The 3 versions were ranked 1, 2, and 3 on the USA Today bestseller list. And the Star Report will debut next week at number 1 on the New York Times list.
It's a historical document. It has romance, has scandal. It has a little bit of everything.
And there's more to come. The presses are working overtime on the latest volume in the Clinton scandal, The Star Evidence. It will include letters, email, and testimony from Monica Lewinsky. That book, Star Evidence, is expected to be on every major newsstand in the United States and Canada tomorrow morning. Funeral services were held in Jacksonville, Florida today for Hope Bartlett, a television reporter at our ABC affiliate WJXX. She died in a boating accident while working on a news story. Her goal was to be a network news anchor. We'd like to honor a request from her mother to mention her name on this newscast. Hope Bartlett was 23 years old. When we come back, 1 in a million, a father and son reunion.
Fibercon or Metamucil? Both have fiber for regularity. But I like Fibercon better.
Same natural action of fiber, but only Fibercon contains calcium.
And with Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets.
Fibercon, fiber and calcium in a convenient caplet.
Chevy Tahoe with a Vortec engine. The most powerful SUV anywhere.
Recently, we flew Carrie Eisenhandler and her family to Johns Hopkins for surgery to correct a pre-existing heart condition. We flew Eric Gonzalez to the Cleveland Clinic because of their renowned expertise in treating Crohn's disease. Hopefully, these stories fly in the face of the belief that healthcare isn't what it used to be. We're Aetna U.S. Healthcare, raising the quality of healthcare in America.
These days, everything's faster. So how come pain relief isn't faster? Introducing Advil Liquid Gels. On tough pain, they're stronger and faster than extra strength Tylenol. New Advil Liquid Gels. Pain relief just got faster.
Tonight, the John Bonet murder case. New information, new details, an ABC News investigation. Barbara Walters, Diane Sawyer, 2020 tonight. Monday, stay on top of the news and ahead of the headlines with Good Morning America. Plus, acclaimed author Alice Walker talks about her new book.
On Good Morning America. For the second week in a row, Rush Hour tops the box office list, taking in more than $21 million. It was followed by Ronin. Urban Legend rounds out the top three. Finally tonight, a story as dramatic as any Hollywood movie, but it's not fiction. This weekend, we learned about an amazing story of separation and reunion. Here's ABC's Judy Muller.
LA police officer Kelly Benitez was just finishing his shift on September 18th when he spotted a car with an expired registration. He decided to make one last traffic stop before he went home.
I do like what I normally do on traffic stops. I went up to the driver, asked for his driver's license and registration.
What happened next was anything but routine. In fact, it made headlines. Benitez says at first the motorist gave him the usual runaround.
He had told me that he was just on his way right that minute to take care of it. Okay.
Then something about the man's eyes got his attention.
Maybe I saw a similarity or something myself. I had noticed his eyes, which made me look at his name on his driver's license.
The name was the same as his father, Paul Benitez, a man who broke up with his mother when Officer Benitez was 4 months old, a father he'd not seen in 29 years. On a whim, he asked the motorist if he'd ever known a woman with his mother's name.
At that point, he looked at my name tag, looked at me in the face, and he said, "My God, I'm your father."
Paul Benitez, a school teacher who had tried in vain over the years to track down his son, says there are no words to express what he felt at that moment.
I mean, what do you say? What do you do? Where do you start?
He got out of the car, he attempted to give me a hug, and he went on to say how he's been looking for me, and I really thought he showed signs of shock.
After the motorist told him details only his true father could have known, Officer Benitez was also in a bit of shock.
For me, the mathematical odds of me pulling him over on a traffic stop, I never thought in a million years it would ever happen.
Ever since Officer Benitez pulled his father over at this intersection, they've had little chance to get to know each other. But that's likely to change. In another extraordinary coincidence, they discovered that after years of looking for one another, they've been living 5 miles apart. They say they'll take their newfound relationship one day at a time. And for Paul Benitez, there's an added bonus. His son decided to let him off with a warning. Judy Muller, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Officer Benitez and his father will be guests tomorrow on Good Morning America. That's our report for tonight. Later on 2020 Sunday with Barbara Walters and Diane Sawyer, a report on startling new evidence in the John Benet Ramsey murder case. I'm Carol Simpson. For all of us here at ABC News, have a good week and good night.
This is a virtual heart. I can see it and I can operate on it, but it isn't there.
Monday on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
When you see what happens on the season premiere of the best drama